Hi, good morning, Deepak. Hope you're doing well.
Doing great, Mayuri. Thank you so much. Thanks for the offer. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for accepting our invitation and also showing an interest to be a part of the Next Gen Entrepreneurs Beyond Dream series. And today we are joined in by Deepak Rajmohan. He's the founder and CEO of GreenPod Labs. So GreenPod Labs is a startup founded in 2019, and they are an agri-tech based company that develops cost-effective post-harvest solutions. And their base technology is nanotechnology. They use nanotechnology to extend the shelf life of vegetables and fruits and throughout the storage and transport, right? And also their proprietary active packaging sachets are they activate the inbuilt defense mechanism in fruits and vegetables and in turn preserve their quality. So we are really happy to have you with us today, and we'd like to hear more from you, Deepak, right, about yourself and also the induction of the startup, right, and your entrepreneurship journey, please.
Yeah, thank you again. Really appreciate the opportunity. My background. So I have a bachelor's in agriculture engineering, and then I
Mhm,
did my master's in food science in US.
mhm,
So I was working as a food scientist in US for about three and a half years.
mhm.
That's when I decided to quit the job, move back to India to work on this
Okay.
food waste and food loss problem.
Mhm,
And yeah, it's been about 2 years right now,
mhm,
and we've been like trying to solve the food waste and food losses problem. So our
mhm,
primary objective right now has been to minimize fruits and vegetables spoilage. So
mhm,
within the food waste, there's about like 40% of fruits and vegetables get spoiled
mhm,
between farm to consumer.
mhm.
That's what we are trying to solve, and yeah, so that's where we are right now.
That's great. And yeah, it's good to know that, you were not, having this brain drain kind of a thing, but you just wanted, come back to India and also, contribute to our nation. That's really great. And also can you share some glimpses of the initiation, right? You were working there and you came back and you knew that you wanted to start up, or you came back and then had the idea, like how it all turned out.
Yeah. Yeah, even before moving to US, so I went to US for my master's, and during
Mhm,
that stage itself, I was very keen on like starting something on my own.
mhm,
I wasn't sure where I'm gonna do it, and I always wanted to come back to India as well. So
mhm,
it was just more of like when and what problem to solve.
mhm,
That was a question which was persisting. So during my master's, I worked on a couple of problem statements around food wastage and
mhm,
food losses and stuff. So I've been
mhm,
associated with this problem for a while, and that's how it all started.
mhm,
So when I moved back to India, I was very clear that I want to solve this food waste problem, and
mhm,
that's what I was about to go in. I came in with a different idea. So initial days, I was working on a slightly different idea for the same food losses
okay.
problem.
Mhm,
But I traveled to different villages and spoke with various stakeholders from farmers, distributors, retailers, e-commerce players, all different stakeholders,
mhm,
and understood the pain point from their perspective.
mhm,
And that's how I started engaging on this problem more deeper. So that's more where right now we are. And so the initial phase was more like understanding about the pain point from the customer perspective,
mhm,
and then looking at the problem, what can be scalable and also cost effective for this segment. So that's how I stumbled upon the overall technology of active packaging. So these are the products
okay.
what we have built right now.
Mhm,
So these sachets, I think, is our product. We use all
mhm,
100% plant extracts and plant polymer
okay.
to, as you mentioned, to activate the defense mechanism within the fruit and
Mhm,
vegetable.
okay.
That's been the early stages of the company, and yeah, it's now we've commercialized the product, and
Mhm,
customers are buying it and scaling up that way. So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, to know about the initial phases of the startup, and also like any startup would have the initial challenges, right? So we see that you have a good team, right? Where the challenge was, to engage good team members, the core team members, or was it funding, or what was your initial challenges? Because in technological wise, you were quite strong because it's your core subject itself, right? So where was the challenge for you? to initiate?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was a mix of all different aspects, right? So yeah, so team is a challenge, but I was able to get a couple of my early employees faster, and they were super
Mhm,
solid, and that helped us build the foundation. With respect
mhm,
to funding, I got a lot of grants
mhm.
that helped kickstart the early R&D and product validation, and along the way, I was able to find solid investors as well.
Okay.
So I think the biggest problem what we had was the early product development stage. We were not able to get good labs and
Okay.
ecosystem
Mhm,
players to
mhm.
build our early prototype and product.
Mhm.
So we had to struggle to build our early testing product and take that
Okay.
to the market and stuff. So I think that phase was very challenging for us.
Mhm,
And now we've built a sophisticated lab and we've built
mhm.
everything around it. So the early days, that was a challenge for us to access different equipments and different lab resources and stuff.
Okay.
So I think that's where I would say majority of efforts was going on. But
Okay.
yeah, so we've passed across that.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice. That's nice to know. And also, like, you're based out of Chennai, right? Your
That's right.
startup.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So we based out of Chennai. Yeah,
Okay, so you have already now set up your in-house lab facilities and everything for the product, right? Yeah. So to
that's right. Yeah.
manufacture
So
and
so
all,
we have.
and test or.
So for manufacturing, we have a small pilot plant, but we work with third-party contract manufacturers. So it's
Mm-hmm,
all outsourced manufacturing.
mm-hmm.
So we have our own R&D lab and testing facilities. So
Okay.
that's how we've been operating right now.
That's great. And also, like, can you, if you could just brief us on, like, what was the conventionally what was used before for, for targeting these losses, the post-harvest losses, and how your sachets are their value proposition, right? Like how they are placed right now in the market. Who are, it's
Yeah.
like B2B or B2C, like how you target the customer base.
Sure, sure. So we are 100% B2B. So we work with farmers, distributors, middleman,
Mm-hmm.
retailers, and e-commerce players. So complete B2B is what we operate out of.
Okay.
So to be honest, there was no product which was available
Mm-hmm.
to reduce the spoilage. So it was an
Mm-hmm.
open problem, and no one was solving it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we came in, and then we were able to provide a solution. So only
Okay.
alternatives were what was available was more of a cold storage and cold supply chain,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
that also is very expensive. It's
True.
not scalable. It's not available for everyone out there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the gap what we are filling. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest, we were not replacing anything. We were just filling a gap.
Okay. Okay.
So that's more where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's 100% B2B, and this is where we're filling the gap.
That's great. That's great. And also, like, your product, like, you can see some small sachet, like how many kgs of fruits, and like what is the proposition of your product
Yeah,
and mhm, the product, yeah, the
yeah.
harvest.
So we are very vertically focused. So which means that we develop products for each fruit and vegetable. So we
Mm-hmm.
understand what's the crop, and then based on that we develop the product. So
Mm-hmm.
it's customized for each crop.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
the range differs. So one sachet is catered for about one kg of fruit to about like 3 kgs of fruit. So
Mm-hmm.
it differs for different commodity because the
Mm-hmm.
formulation everything is different. So it's like
Okay.
one sachet fitting around 1 to 3 kgs on average.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. And they operate on room temperature, like it's
That
the
is right.
logistically they do not require any additional handling or certain optimal pressure temperature, but it just works on just normal like temperature, right? Yeah.
That is right. Yeah. So the product
Mm-hmm.
works totally fine in ambient temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
So we've also tested the product at very high temperatures, like
Yeah.
60
Mm-hmm.
degrees Celsius as well. So
Okay.
yeah. So the product works at ambient temperatures, even at peak summer. The
Mm-hmm.
product adds value.
That's great because in transport and logistics, like there would be certain time lags, like the travel, and also it will travel to different districts and states. And so that's good to have. And also it's interesting to know like the mechanism itself, like how it works. And it's really, I would say, revolutionary because as you said, you don't have any competitors as such for now because there weren't any product which is solving the problem itself, and that's
That's right.
really good to know. And also, like, coming to so we are targeting the B2B sector and everything, and we
Hmm.
face this, like, you started in 2019, and end like mid-year we faced global pandemic, and we had a lot
Hmm.
of like limitations of supply chain and everything. Like, it was all affected by the pandemic. So how was your startup, or went through that phase? What were your challenges,
Yeah.
and if you could just give us some glimpses of it.
Yeah. Great question, right? So we were one of the lucky ones to work on a critical problem, and
Mm-hmm.
then the phase at which we were not like too much cash trapped or the revenue trapped.
Okay.
So at the peak of the pandemic, we were still on the R&D phase.
Mm-hmm.
So we had some challenges with supply chain, as you mentioned. We were getting ingredients from outside India, so those
Mm-hmm.
supply chain did disrupt,
Okay.
and we had to stock up more inventory, and then we managed it.
Mm-hmm.
But with respect to revenue or money, we were not too much worried because we were still on the R&D phase.
Mm-hmm.
Burn rate was lower, and we were able to progress more. So that also gave us a time period for us to understand the market better.
Mm-hmm.
With respect to fresh produce, pandemic was one big like eye opener for everyone to understand like how inefficient the overall supply
Yes.
chain was, and that gave us a clarity of like what's the importance of our product in the market. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's a bigger problem like this, and this is where it shows the weakest point.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to identify all the weak points between the farm,
True.
like between the fresh produce supply chain. So it gave us a lot of perspective, and the customer awareness was also higher,
Mm-hmm.
and look out for a product like this was also higher. So in a lot of ways, pandemic did accelerate what we were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it also gave us the time for us to evaluate and build the product more solid. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. Like, because as you were in the developing phase, you can actually alter and modify the product
Yeah,
with the future demands, and
whatever is the
we can,
requirement.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's really interesting. And how you took that into a positive account and develop the product. That's really nice. And coming to some of the, like, if you could share some rewarding experience you had in your journey, like throughout your journey, like what were like couple of instances in which could be from the customer side, or could be from your advisors or funding perspective, or any support, or like anything which would come to your mind as the most rewarding experience throughout your startup journey.
Yeah. There are a few of those which definitely resonate with us.
Mm-hmm.
I think like what comes to my mind instantly is our customer success rate, right? So I think that is one reward what you cannot imagine anywhere
True.
else.
Mm-hmm.
So we were working with several customers, and we were doing a lot of iterations and building the product.
Mm-hmm.
So the final product, what we've commercialized right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we were working with a customer, and then they were testing the product. They
Okay.
got about 42% spoilage on control sample without a product,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got closer to about like 3% of spoilage in our product. So
Oh.
that trial with the customer end reference was one, like
Mm-hmm.
that was a starting point for us to accelerate this journey more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was one definitely rewarding moment, and we had
Mm-hmm.
a small celebration within the team, and show that like what's the impact we can create.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, we have created more of those success stories with our customers. Now customers are sending mangoes from down South India to North India
Mm-hmm.
over a period of like 2 to 3 days at like regular train journey, and we used to get like 80 to 90% spoilage. Now we are able
Mm-hmm.
to bring that down to less than 2%, 3%. So
Okay.
we are adding significant economic value and
True.
market entry to these customers. It's definitely rewarding that way. And also like we've got a good recognition from the industry that we're solving a critical problem, and how
Mm-hmm.
we are solving this problem is also interesting. So both from Indian perspective and global perspective,
Mm-hmm.
those recognition for the research what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely validating for us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And also, like, I could really relate to it because, when I ordered mangoes, most of them were spoiled, and I didn't know
Yeah.
about your product before. Yeah, but definitely I'll use yours. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Would
mhm,
I mean? I think that's exactly the end consumer problem, right? So
mhm,
we were working with several e-commerce players who were doing like
mhm.
Alfonso mangoes,
Yes.
and they gave us a strong feedback that when their end consumer tried the mangoes, it was more
Mhm.
sweeter, and then flavor profile was better. So I think those are the experiences what
Okay.
we are looking forward to. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And
Yeah.
or like already like you have this, the end customer view and feedback is more direct to you, and that's the most rewarding thing for any researcher, right? In any
Yeah.
industry, so it's really great,
Yeah.
and their satisfaction would be like boosting you to work more and provide
True.
better
True.
results in the future.
Yeah.
And just to understand, like your products as sachets, right? Like they have any timeline? Like they have particular, because like can it be used for a month journey or just for a week, or how you formulate according to the
Yeah.
purpose, or is it all
Yeah.
generic?
Yeah. So it is developed for a particular crop, and then what's the use case within that particular crop. So
Okay.
our product for, let's say, for mangoes, our
Mhm.
product can last for about 10 to 12 days.
Okay.
And that's the period where we keep the mangoes fresh as well. So
Yes.
however long you need to keep the mangoes fresh, that is how much the product would also last.
Okay.
So that's one thing.
Mhm.
So it can be altered. So the 12 days can be moved to 1 month. It can be moved to 1.5 months. So that is definitely possible with our
Mhm.
development and iteration.
Mhm.
So how we send this? These sachets are packed into aluminum foil. These are
Mhm.
like sealed aluminum foil. So
Okay.
within that aluminum foil, it can be stored for about 1.5 to 2 months.
Mhm.
Once you open the sachets, it'll last for about 10 to 12 days.
Okay. Okay. So it's like an formulation coated over any base,
No,
or
no,
Mhm.
it's just the yeah. So these are the sachet contains powders inside.
Mhm.
So these powders are plant polymers, which has the plant extracts what we use.
Okay, okay, that's great. And thank you, Deepak, for your time today and for sharing your about your startup and your journey. It was really nice interacting with you. And as an end, like we just want two takeaway points from you for young entrepreneurs and aspiring students who want to, initiate a startup. From your experience, if you could just say two takeaway points.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm at the point where I can give any advice, but I just want to share what really helped us. Right. So I think focusing on a problem, what you're really passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then just doubling down on it, going for it is very, very critical. You will face a lot of challenges, you will face a lot of roadblocks, but if you're passionate about the problem what you're solving, you will be able to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
See, the other thing what I want to emphasize is like focus on your customer, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that customer is happy, and then like move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Deepak. Really appreciate your time today, and we'll surely meet on any other occasion or discussion sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Maggie. Thank you. Thanks for your time.